Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jelly. I'm a climate action advisor based in Leicester, and I am joined by my brilliant colleague and fellow climate action advisor, Cindy. Raise your hand, Cindy, and she's based in Derbyshire. And Cindy and I are two of the six climate action advisors in the Midlands region supporting schools to take climate action. And we are part of Let's Go Zero, which is a national campaign uniting teachers, pupils, parents, and their schools as they all work together to be zero carbon by 2030. And that is such a massive challenge. So through this campaign, we are also calling for much needed government support and funding to enable schools to decarbonize. So we want to amplify the voices of schools and ensure that students and staff are heard when policy decisions are being made at the government level. And at the moment we have, actually from yesterday, we have 5,000 schools who have signed up to the campaign. And that is representing over 2 million students who are actually actively supporting and taking climate action. And we know that we cannot do this work on our own because it's such a massive task. So we worked collaboratively with these amazing organizations that you can see here on the screen. And all of them are also supporting schools on sustainability and decarbonization. So together we are working to drive change and spark climate action in schools and communities all across the country. The Department for Education, Sustainability and Climate Change strategy that was launched in 2022 has set an ambitious vision that the UK education sector would be a world leader in sustainability and climate change by 2030. And the strategy has also set out a number of goals, and that includes an expectation that by 2025, this year, all education settings will have nominated a sustainability lead and have put a climate action plan in place. And there are four main areas that the strategy also mentioned on what the school's climate action plan should cover. And these are decarbonization, adaptation and resilience, biodiversity, and climate education and green careers. And I will now hand over to Cindy to talk more about what we do as climate action advisors and how we support schools to meet these expectations.
Thanks, Jelly. So as Jelly's explained, we're based at, well, there's 32 of us actually based around the country, and in line with the DFE's sustainability strategy, what we're here to do is to help schools create and implement those climate action plans. Before joining Let's Go Zero, I was working for Derbyshire County Council, and I still work quite closely with my colleagues at the council because the sort of overlap that we have in our work is quite significant. So the important thing on this slide, I think the most important word here is that it's a free service, and that's obviously very pertinent to schools. So on the next slide, it just shows really how we're working and what we're doing. So we're here to support schools in different ways. If we think there's a significant amount of savings to be made in a school, we will offer a site visit. But we do a lot of our work online with individual schools, or we can work with groups of schools as well. What we like to do is really tailor these climate action plans to schools. So we want to ensure that the advice and support that we are giving to them suits them and suits their priorities, and also their resources and the limitations of their resources. So an important aspect also of our work is that we signpost to local and funding schemes, local and national funding schemes. And because we are a national organisation, we're pooling a lot of the expertise and a lot of the information that we're finding for schools and able to then disseminate that out to our local schools. But we've also really got that regional aspect as well, which is very important. And a key part of that really is our work with local authorities, which we can talk about on the next slide. So like I said, working with local authorities is key to what we do. We really want to be able to offer the best service that we can to school, and a part of that is signposting to what local authorities are offering to schools in their areas. So some of the ways that we work with local authorities is to deliver workshops to groups of schools through local authorities. I do a lot of work, and I'm going to go into that in a moment in the next slide, with our Derbyshire County Council's energy manager and energy team, so we can liaise directly on projects like that. We can co-create a tracker that means that we don't have to meet if you want to have an update, so we can update you on that tracker. and we like to signpost to any initiatives that you're doing and opportunities that schools can benefit from. So in the East Midlands, we're already working with local authorities in Leicester, Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire, and as I've mentioned, Derbyshire and Derby as well, and Lincolnshire. And so the next slide goes into some more detail on that. So this is sort of drawing on my experience and what I've been doing with schools in the with the local authority in my area. And I don't know if any of you recognise the graphs on the slide here, but that's a screenshot of something called Systems Link, which is Derbyshire County Council's platform that schools can engage with to see their half-hourly data, their energy data. And I know Nottinghamshire have this, and Leicestershire, I think. And whilst councils have been, the Derbyshire County Council have been trying to get schools to liaise with this, they can have a free login. It's very difficult sometimes for that message to get through. So our position as climate action advisors means we've really got that kind of foot in the door, if you like. We've got that trusted relationship with the school. So I've been able to walk through some of the schools, how to look at this and start engaging with their data. And that's really powerful for them to enable them to take some action. Same with upgrading to smart meters. Derbyshire have got some schools lined up for that, and they've emailed them, but they're not. Those emails don't get through to schools necessarily because schools' inboxes are very, very full. So because we're having those conversations with schools, we're able to help get those messages through. I've put there as well about the DEC officer. So the Derbyshire County Council have a display energy certificate officer who goes around and fulfills that functions for school that they have to do, that they have to have. And sometimes they've been asked, oh, what more can we do? And because the officer can only do a certain amount, she's now able to signpost to us, and that's been a really useful resource for them as well. I don't know how many of you know, but Severn Trent offer free water audits and free upgrades to schools. And we've been having some great success with that and working directly with Severn Trent now to help disseminate that information out to schools and get schools registered for that. I've also put on there that the Midlands Net Zero Hub, who you're going to hear from later, but they're there to support schools to access SALIX funding. And one of the things that we're working on is helping to facilitate that information. I've realised I'm running out of time, so I better speed up a little bit. We're also working with the Waste Department and helping schools to understand that they have a legal obligation now to have separate weekly food waste collections from March this year. A lot of schools don't even know that that's happening, so we're able to sort of join those dots together. And I've popped on there sustainable travel. So in Derbyshire, we have a sustainable travel officer at the council, and I'm working very closely with him and helping him link up with schools to get them to do travel plans and those sorts of activities. So very briefly, before I hand back to Jelly, I'm just going to talk about something called Count Your Carbon, which is a tool that's been devised specifically for schools by the people behind Keep Britain Tidy and Eco Schools. And we're asking all our schools to baseline their carbon emissions by using this tool. It's a very ambitious tool. It asks them for scopes 1, 2, and 3 emissions, but it's becoming a very, very useful resource. And what Emma mentioned at the beginning is that we want people to start. We want schools to be reducing their carbon and their carbon emissions. It's much more difficult to reduce those if you don't know where you're starting from. And what Count Your Carbon is able to do is also help schools to prioritise where they need to kind of really focus on. So that's the end of my bit, and back over to Jelly.
Thank you, Cindi. So after the carbon footprint data is collected, we help schools plan their action to address their emissions priorities as a school. And the climate action plan is set out like a school improvement plan, as you can see on the image, and that we recommend our schools to add it as an appendix to their SIP or improvement plan. And it has a column for actions, time frame, and who will lead on each action. And we can also link those actions to either offset criteria or church school inspection criteria. Cindi and I have provided support to a number of schools in the East Midlands, helping them to understand their carbon emissions and create their action plans on a one-to-one basis. However, we have also done a one-to-many approach whereby we've worked with local authority, a diocese, or a trust in delivering a climate action planning creation workshop for their schools, either online or in person. So just as an example, I worked with Mark, Leicester City Council via the Our Schools, Our World project, and helped 16 of their schools to develop a climate action plan. I think Mark will be talking more about that later, I believe. And we've done the same with Leicestershire the Leicestershire County Council via webinar sessions. So if this is something that you're looking to do for your schools, we'd be more than happy to run one-to-many climate action planning creation workshops. And that would also really ensure that all of your schools have a climate action plan in place before the new academic year starts. And this is a really exciting one. So from March this year, we are running free carbon literacy training for relevant staff at schools and multi-academy trusts. And this is such a brilliant opportunity for your schools to be upskilled. And as part of the course, also have the chance to develop the climate action plans during the session. And that is such a win-win result, I would say. So if you can get your schools or sustainability leads into a room, then we can run a carbon literacy training for them. And we're asking schools who want certification to pay the £10, but otherwise the course is totally free. So yeah, again, if this is something that you would like to do for your schools, get in touch with us and we can get your school started with Let's Go Zero. And also for those who are yet to develop the climate action plans, but also keen to develop CPD for staff, please reach out to us. And you can simply use this QR code here or go to our website to register your interest. And please indicate on the form whether you would like us to run a climate action planning workshop or you would like carbon literacy training for your schools, and we'll get in touch with you to get that organized. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And we'll be here for the rest of the session. So if you have any questions, just give us a shout.